There is a moment every night when the world fades away. Your eyes close, your thoughts slow, and you begin to drift into a place that feels both familiar and foreign. You're not awake anymore, but you're not asleep either. You're suspended in a quiet, timeless in-between, a threshold of consciousness scientists call the hypnagogic state. In that fleeting passage between wakefulness and sleep, your brain undergoes one of the most mysterious transformations known to neuroscience. The entire orchestra of your mind, your senses, memory, and awareness, begins to change rhythm. It is as if the conductor slowly lowers his hands, letting the music dissolve into something softer, more abstract, more dreamlike. In that moment, you are both here and elsewhere. For decades, neuroscientists have tried to understand what happens when we fall asleep. Most of us think of sleep as an off switch, as if the brain simply powers down, but that's not true. Sleep is not the absence of consciousness. It's a shift, a change in state, a reorganization of the mind's architecture. The human brain doesn't stop working when you close your eyes. It begins to work differently. During the transition, your brainwaves, electrical patterns that shape how neurons fire, begin to slow. Alpha waves, the calm rhythm of relaxation, start to fade as slower theta waves rise. These waves mark the borderland between wakefulness and dreams. You might feel your body jerk, your mind flash images, or hear a voice that isn't there. This is your brain experimenting with reality, creating fragments of dreams before you fully surrender to sleep. Scientists at institutions like MIT and the University of Wisconsin have spent years mapping this delicate process using AEG and fMRI scans, trying to pinpoint the exact moment consciousness dissolves. What they've found is astonishing. The brain Dosen T turn-off. When you lose awareness, it reconfigures itself. The networks that keep you alert, like the frontal cortex, slowly quiet down, while deep structures like the thalamus and brainstem begin to dominate. Communication between brain regions shifts from global to local. In simple terms, your brain stops broadcasting a unified world and starts exploring internal landscapes. This is why dreams feel so vivid yet so disorganized. They're the mind's unfiltered language, freed from the logic of waking life. But what if consciousness isn't a single switch, but a spectrum? Recent research in the U.S. suggests that as we move from wakefulness to sleep, we don't simply lose awareness, we slide across multiple levels of it. Dr. Giulio Tononi's integrated information theory proposes that consciousness arises from the degree of information integration in the brain. When we're awake, our brain networks are highly connected. Every sensory input, emotion, and thought interact to create a rich tapestry of awareness. As we fall asleep, those connections weaken. The brain becomes less integrated, and our sense of self begins to fragment. Yet, in dreams, parts of that integration return, which is why dreaming can feel like another form of consciousness. Strange, but real. You've probably noticed it. That moment when your mind starts weaving random images before you sleep, a face, a color, a place you've never been. It's the brain letting go of control. Many creative geniuses, from Thomas Edison to Salvador Dali, deliberately used this state to unlock ideas. They would hold an object in their hands as they drifted off, letting it drop as soon as they slipped into the hypnagogic state, waking up just in time to capture the insights that surfaced. In neuroscience, this border state has become a window into understanding creativity and the subconscious. When logic relaxes, imagination awakens. When the analytical mind quiets, intuition speaks. But here's where it gets fascinating. What if that liminal state is not just a biological transition, but a glimpse into how consciousness itself works? When neuroscientists monitor the brain's activity during these moments, they see something remarkable. The brain behaves as if it's testing the boundaries of reality. Neural patterns fire spontaneously, connecting unrelated memories, emotions, and perceptions. It's as if the mind is rehearsing alternate realities, training itself to adapt, heal, and create. Some researchers even argue that this transitional state may hold clues to understanding near-death experiences, lucid dreams, and altered states of consciousness. In all these experiences, the brain operates between order and chaos, a delicate balance where awareness doesn't disappear but transforms. In everyday life, this transition mirrors something deeper. We often move between our own states of consciousness, from alert and logical to reflective and intuitive, without realizing it. The neuroscience of sleep teaches us that being conscious isn't just about being awake. It's about being connected, coherent, and aware of awareness itself. The U.S. scientific community has recently been fascinated by how sleep quality, REM cycles, and brainwave patterns affect not only memory and learning, but emotional regulation and decision-making. The way we transition into and out of sleep might influence how we think, perform, and even how we see ourselves. Imagine your mind as an ocean. Wakefulness is the surface where the waves are high and chaotic, reacting to every external wind, the news, your phone, the noise of daily life. As you begin to fall asleep, those waves calm and you sink beneath the surface. Deeper layers of the ocean are slower, quieter, yet infinitely vast. Down there lie memories, emotions, and subconscious patterns that shape who you are. Every night, as you drift through sleep, your brain dives into that ocean, cleaning, sorting, and repairing itself. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic and planning, finally rests, while the hippocampus replays memories, deciding which to keep and which to forget. This nightly cleansing process is essential for mental health. When it is disrupted, as in chronic insomnia or sleep deprivation, the brain can no longer properly regulate emotions or process experiences. It's one reason why lack of sleep can feel like losing your mind. But the story doesn't end there. Neuroscientists are now exploring how the transitions between sleep stages might reveal more about consciousness than sleep itself. For example, when people experience lucid dreams, where they become aware they redreaming, parts of the prefrontal cortex briefly wake up. This hybrid state, where the dreaming brain regains partial awareness, challenges our definition of consciousness. It suggests that consciousness isn't binary. It's fluid, dynamic, and adaptive. In laboratories across the U.S., researchers are even experimenting with neurofeedback and brain stimulation to intentionally induce such hybrid states, potentially unlocking new forms of learning, creativity, and emotional healing. There is also growing evidence that the brain's transitions between wakefulness and sleep are linked to mental health. People suffering from depression, PTSD, and anxiety often show disrupted sleep architecture, meaning their transitions between REM and non-REM stages are irregular. It's as if their brains can't fully move between worlds. Studies from institutions like Stanford and Harvard are finding that stabilizing these transitions through therapy, medication, or mindfulness can significantly improve mental well-being. The mind needs rhythm, not just rest. And yet, even with all our technology, the essence of consciousness remains elusive. What is that spark that disappears when we fall asleep and returns when we wake? Is it purely biological or something deeper, something that neuroscience has not yet found language for? Some theorists, like neuroscientist Anil Seth, describe consciousness as a controlled hallucination, where the brain constantly predicts and constructs the world from sensory input. When we fall asleep, those predictions lose anchor, and we drift into the self-generated universe of dreams. In that sense, sleep might not be a break from reality, but a shift into another version of it. For the average American viewer watching this right now, this isn't just science, it's personal. Because every night your brain rehearses life. It learns, heals, and rewrites your emotional code. The line between wakefulness and sleep isn't just a transition. It's a dialogue between the conscious and subconscious self. When you respect that transition by getting enough sleep, reducing stimulation before bed, and letting your mind quiet naturally, you strengthen your ability to think clearly, feel deeply, and live fully. In a society obsessed with productivity, rest has become rebellion. But neuroscience shows that sleep is not a luxury, it is a biological necessity for consciousness itself to function. Even the timing of this process follows an ancient rhythm. The brain's sleep-wake cycle is governed by the circadian clock, an internal mechanism tuned to light and darkness. When you stare at screens late at night, your brain mistakes that light for daylight, delaying melatonin release and keeping your mind in a state of semi-wakefulness. That's why so many Americans feel tired but wired. Their bodies crave rest. but their brains are still surfing on artificial daylight. Neuroscientists call this the modern mismatch, the conflict between our biology and our technology. Yet the solution isn't complex, it's alignment. By aligning with your body's natural cycles, you don't just improve sleep. You deepen consciousness. Meditation, breathwork, and mindful pre-sleep rituals are not spiritual extras, they are neurological tools. Studies show that just 10 minutes of mindful breathing before bed increases theta activity, making it easier to transition smoothly into sleep. It's like tuning an instrument before a performance. The more harmoniously you enter that state, the more restorative your night becomes. And in those moments when you linger between worlds, when your thoughts melt into images and your sense of self begins to fade, remember that you are witnessing one of the great miracles of existence, consciousness changing form. The same process that births dreams may also hold the key to understanding who we are. Because at the edge of sleep, the brain reveals its true nature not as a machine that switches on and off, but as a living symphony that flows between awareness and mystery. Tomorrow morning, when you wake and light floods your room, your consciousness will rise again, seemingly from nowhere. But neuroscience tells us that it never truly disappeared, it only transformed. Awareness, it seems, is not something we lose, it's something we travel through. Each night, we rehearse the art of letting go of control, of ego, of identity, only to awaken renewed. And maybe that's the lesson buried in the science of sleep, that consciousness, like life, is a continuous dance between knowing and not knowing, between being awake and dreaming. So, tonight, when you lay your head down, think of this. Your mind is about to embark on a journey through the most intricate mystery in the universe itself. As you slip through that doorway between wakefulness and sleep, between this world and the next, you're not escaping reality, you're exploring it. Because the brain's greatest secret may not be how it creates consciousness, but how it keeps rediscovering it every single morning.